All right, guys. So we have now wrapped up not just one, man, how does the time fly, but 2 weeks of Braves spring training is essentially in the books. And you got to love so much that came out of Northport this particular week. I thought it was really good for Ronald Acuna Jr., for example, to set the stage. Don't know, Maria, that he had to apologize per se, but I just thought it was a nice look for him to say, first of all, not speaking to the media. I apologize for that. That's something basically that won't happen again. I think he was level setting with everyone for exactly how he wanted to set the table, and level setting in so many different ways has Ronald Acuna done it. But oddly enough, the world we live in, we don't look at things like, wow, he comes out and he level sets the stage that way, or wow, he's out there blowing things out of the water when he's at bat and his ABs are just out of control already, and it's just the first or second week of spring training. No, we had to focus on the fact that he made a comment that essentially says, hey, I want to be a Brave for life. And then everybody just kind of went overboard in what they thought those comments meant. But Maria, just being down there, being around Ronald Acuna Jr. and that team, do you feel like maybe going in about those comments, the feedback or the reception of it was a bit blown out of proportion?
Braves fans blowing things out of proportion. I've never heard of that before.
No.
And look, I love y'all. I love Braves fans. You guys are some of my favorite fan base. But seriously, I mean, I knew as soon as he said it, I was like, oh man, this is gonna be a treat. Especially because Ronald's got about 5 years ish until he hits free agency, so we are jumping the gun a bit when it talks about him being a Brave for life. And this is very popular because the core of this team is locked in for a long time, and so this is a luxury in baseball and something that is not done very often. So I think people are getting a little bit spoiled and thinking we need everybody to be a Brave for life. And obviously Ronald Acuna Jr. would be at the top of that list because he was National League MVP. I'm sure he's going to win quite a few more. I mean, this is only going to get better, and it makes sense that people are already talking about this 5 years ahead of this year's ahead of him hitting free agency. So yeah, of course I thought it was blown out of proportion, but it's great. Ronald does live being around these guys. It's very obvious. We've watched him mature and grow in front of our eyes. A player in the big leagues, and that in turn is where I think that apology came from. It was actually a question I asked him, and I didn't ask him anything about the lack of comments from him in Philadelphia. My question is simply about the NLDS and how long he thought about it after they and he answered that at first and then turned and apologized. And that is just him showing growth and maturity, because you gotta remember too, a lot of these guys are still kids and they are growing in front of our eyes. And that's not making it an excuse for behavior in the past, but I thought it was great that he did that. I also think it would be wonderful if he could be a Brave for life. It just means Atlanta's got to pay him, and they've got to pay him a lot of money. And that's where it becomes tricky for me in saying that I think Acuna could be here for the long haul, because as we've seen in recent history, the Braves have not liked to cough up certain amount of dollar signs. But Acuna will need a lot of those, and I don't really know if the Braves could give that to him. But we'll see. A lot can happen in the span of 5 years, as we know.
And I think that's where I leaned more. It wasn't so much about him talking about being a Brave for life, but it's where my mind went to, and how much is that going to cost? And will Liberty Media cough it up, or whomever
$40
might
million
be,
a year.
at a minimum, At a minimum,
Yeah.
Because we were talking about this earlier at my other gig, and the fact of the matter is, and I want to talk a little bit more about it in a second, but I want to give Jarvis an opportunity to chime in as well. He's understanding his brand. He's understanding by answering and having conversations in English. It may seem subtle, by saying, I want to be a Brave for life, by getting there early to spring training. All of the things that he's doing slowly but surely, he's understanding his international appeal and reach. And that goes back, Maria, to the maturity, to the point where I was like, I wonder who's mentoring him, like who's in his ear in a good way, sharing with him, like, do you know who you are? Like, do you know the power that you can yield right now in the space that you're in?
I think he's moving into this whole just his own brand in the Major League Baseball, not only in the city of Atlanta. When you start transitioning, like you said, he has those people in his ear, like whoever those people are, those people should be paid a lot of money, because when you start doing having conversations in English, and people start, and you really expressing yourself and how you truly feel, because sometimes people don't really trust the translators. Sometimes
Franco's the best, though. I will say
Franco's the best.
We know Franco's the man, but a lot of other people are like, is that all?
No.
Yeah, really
did he really say that? So you got the naysayers out there. So, but I think overall he's putting himself in the conversation where he can be the face of Major League Baseball. And you know how a lot of times, people talk about, how the respect from Atlanta, you don't really get it from a national media perspective. I think that's out the window with nephew. With nephew Ronnie, like he's in that category. And just for him to, and then when I heard the comments, I was just like, man, I don't want to have these conversations. I'm sorry, because guess what, guys? Freddie Freeman, Dansby Swanson, and Max Fried is happening. It's going down. He's not. He more than likely he's gone. So let's not start having these sped up conversations about my nephew Ronnie, because I love watching this dude play, and I know that number is 22 million, and they ain't going a penny over it. So I know that he ain't taking that, 5 years from now. So let's just enjoy these 5 years and just, hey, that's the national media is hating because they want to see them on the team that they like. So let's not have that conversation right now. So I want to see my nephew Ronnie.
Who doesn't want him?
Absolutely. Hands down.
Embarrassment of riches that the Braves have, actually, because so many of the Braves actually made that top 20. As you guys know, MLB Network has been counting down the best players in Major League Baseball. And you probably saw this clip where, of course, Ronald Acuna Jr. is ranked the highest of the Braves. He's ranked the highest of all the players. He's number one. But interestingly enough, when they were having the interview or conducting the interview, they were like fanboying. Like, it was hilarious to me, because these are like Hall of Famers and longtime baseball broadcasters. That's how much energy and excitement there is, like you said, past this Atlanta Metro about him and about what these Braves can do. And one of the things I loved was when they asked him, so are you looking at 50-50? He's like, why not? Like, it could happen. And I thought about that. And here, I want to read this to you guys just real quick. You've got Austin Riley at 15 on that top 100 for MLB, just Spencer Strider at 17. So you literally have three Braves in the top 20. And you think about that, that's like a fifth of the players. The Braves are taking a third of those spots. Like, that's mind blowing. And this, Maria, goes back to what AJ Minter said and what pretty much this Braves team in some way, shape, or form has co-signed on, which is we got the moxie, we've got the attitude, we got the confidence that we're going to get back. We see it as World Series or bust. I just love all of that energy, and for them to be on the same page unabashedly about what they can do in this upcoming season.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's been a while since I've been around a team like this where there is such a hunger and desire to be at the top once again. And I think it's because obviously a large majority of this team has been at the top in 21, and the last 2 years were largely disappointing for everybody in that room. I was in the room when they lost both those times. And it's clear to me that setting the tone and being vocal about it early is important to them. And all of them have said, you can attack this one or two ways. And remember, the postseason in baseball is very long. The baseball season in general is so long. So when you're looking ahead to October and November of the postseason, like, we have so long to go, and they understand that. But they also understand that it's important to go ahead and put your goals out there and tell them, hey, we were perhaps the best team in baseball last year, and we fell short of our goal. And that's not good enough. And for a roster top to bottom that has gotten better than last year, thanks to Alex Anthopoulos and what he did in the offseason, especially building that pitching depth, which in my mind was really their demise in the postseason. They believe that they have the pieces in place. A lot can play into that. A lot can happen between now and October. But these are guys that are not scared to tell everyone, we are going to be better than we were last year consistently all the way until October. We need to win a World Series. And there are guys, even new pieces that came on. Chris Sale did not win in 21 with this team, but he does have a World Series championship ring. They all understand. They're all on the same page. And that goes to anything that you do in companies, in your day-to-day life. If everyone is on the same page, a lot of really awesome stuff can happen. So to set that early, I love that AJ Mentor did it. He's one of the longest standing Braves in this clubhouse. There's not a lot of guys around from the 2017 team anymore. He's one of them. And so for him, it's important to take that leadership into account and to be honest and vocal. And all of them shared the same sentiment, which I thought was really cool. There wasn't a single one of them that was like, we shouldn't be talking about this yet.
No, at all. And Jarvis, I look at this, and granted, we're only talking about 22 and 23, a smaller sample size coming into 24. But as this longtime Atlanta native and of course longtime Braves fan, my question is, does it feel different than when they went on that run where they only got the one World Series and had 13 division titles and only the one World Series? Does this feel different? And when I say that, just wanted to ask you that quick question as we wrap up, because for me, and I'm a longtime Braves fan too, it feels different. Like, I don't feel like you, Marie, and I are going to be having this conversation 3, 4, 5 years in a row where we're like, dang, won the division again, no World Series, won the division again, no World Series. Do you feel like this is a different situation than we experienced back then?
It feels different and the reason why is because of, like we talked about, the long-term sustainability of the roster, right? Because when you think about the core of this lineup is going to be here. They ain't going nowhere. And this is not the NFL where you can sit out and request trades. I know Ronald Acuna could potentially do that, but they don't do that in baseball. That union is very strong, and they are strong for a reason, because they follow the rules that they try to set, against Major League Baseball and ownership. So that's why it feels different to me, because like the roster is going to be here. And my only concern is the pitching staff, because Lord knows what the money is right there. Ain't nobody taking no discounts when it comes to pitching, and we know, I just mentioned Max Fried earlier. So that's my only small concern. But just overall, from this roster and the lineup and being able to put runs on the board and win some games, this definitely feels different than those 90s Braves.
Fair enough. And, I am not as concerned, because two things. Number one, Alex Anthopoulos said, hey, 4 years ago when he could have shored up the bullpen and he didn't, and those guys got kind of tired, and it kind of showed. He learned a lesson. And, Alex doesn't make the same mistake twice. And Bryce Elder and Ian Anderson are hungry. So we always like it when we've got guys who are hungry and eager to show, hey, we know there's a fit spot out there, and we might kind of want to sort of get in there. Listen, we'll come back up next, and we got more for you in Around the Metro.